Hello, I'm Lynne Adams Barzé, a baby boomer from the exotic city of New Orleans in Louisiana. My main literary interests in my novels are crime and the paranormal. And I delve a little into science fiction, but I never was one that was much into comedy or fantasy. I started putting pen to paper when I was 10 years old. I was never timid about putting my feelings down for people to see. I received written thank yous from John Glenn, P.X. Kelly, the widow of Carl Sandburg, and the family of MLK Jr. They were all in recognition of my poetry. And like a lot of writers, my roots are in poetry. But later on, I moved into opinions, editorials, and short stories. In high school, I started freelance journalism, even though that really wasn't a term they were using yet. I wrote for New Orleans Plants and Gardens, the Regina, the Tennessee Valley Bugle, Parents and Kids Magazine, and Southern Senior Magazine. Writing articles is quick and easy for me, and I love the research involved. Well, in the fall of 2008, I even composed and starred in a monologue. And I performed this monologue at the Crosby Memorial Library here in Picayune. You can find it on my website. It's about a spirit encounter I had at the Blueberry Inn in Poplarville, and it's called The Lady of the Inn. I still write in all these venues, but in 2013, I committed to my first novel. I have since written 10. But my first one was Revenge and Perseverance. This takes place in a small, isolated village at the end of World War II. This village gets marauded by deserters, and there's nobody to help them out of their plight. So, with the help of their faithful shaman women, they find their way out of that situation. But then, they want to wreak their revenge on the countries that spawned these evil men. And they managed to do that 70 years into their future. Another thing I wrote, which has a taste of science fiction to it, is The O'Halloans. Now, The O'Halloans and its sequel, O'Hallow Pursuit, is about two tribes of women that settled in the United States on two different coasts, I guess you could say. One is on a mountaintop in Washington State on the West Coast, and one is in a swamp area of Louisiana on the Gulf Coast. These women were strong and powerful, and they kept their tribes together, but they were of two different minds. The one in the West Coast, they were more agricultural. They formed a commune, and they lived out in the country. The one on the Gulf Coast was educated and had professional jobs and lived among the Creoles and the Cajuns there, people who would help keep their secrets. When you get into those two novels, you find that I had to do research about the FBI, about law, about NORAD, about the outer atmosphere of the Earth, and even about Sasquatch. However, the story begins with the theft of a newborn baby girl right out of the delivery room. I had to learn a lot about mapping. I had to learn how the routes went to map the West Coast to the Gulf Coast, and I even researched poisons. Eventually, the Southern crew has to turn in the Western crew to preserve themselves. Another book I wrote is called Partners. Now, Partners is about two detectives who deal mainly in serial killers, serial murders, and they're good at it. The other men in the law and order field envy their closure rate. They are so good at what they do. And they follow a lot of killers, a lot of cases. They're wonderful. However, their very partnership might be where the paranormal steps in. Then we have Spirits with Love. This one was fun because it talks about people who have gone on but still cling on to their loved possessions they had when they were alive. And they try to follow those possessions and make sure they're put in a good place. But then you learn about an immoral living person who can see these spirits and understand what they're trying to do. But he has a sinister, evil intent. When you read that one, you learn about binding spells and unbinding spells. This is again and again and again. Now, because of a vision I have in my own life, I write about a spirit who has been on earth from 1835 up until 1984. She comes back again and again. She comes as male or female again and again. But there's a limit to everything, and she causes her own downfall. Throughout this book, you'll find sadness, fear, and sorrow. Then there's A Concerned Citizen. Now, this has nothing paranormal in it. It is all crime and all about a concerned citizen, or as we know they're called, vigilantes, who along with his furry partner does solve a lot of crime. He brings bad guys to justice. He leaves them right where the police can find them. But vigilantism is illegal. So when he and his canine partner find themselves almost killed because of the bad people they're trying to bring down in an illegal fighting ring, it is the very detective who is trying to bring him in that comes to his rescue. This is the Diamond Dance Club, Hotel Rooms and Suites. Now, in the Art Deco period, this was a fun dance club to go to. Over the years, it fell into disarray. Later on, some investors renovated, bring it back to life. But that renovation also brings back some of his patrons who still like to dance and light up the dance floor. There's also some that come back that cater to the whims of the original owner. She has rather erotic whims, Miss Diamond Stone. And then this is the Conjurer's Collector. The Diamond Dance Club becomes a haven for the living and the unliving. But it also is the place where the Conjurer's Collector is trying to get to. She is a good person, a good collector. She collects talismans. And she has a living talisman of her own that protects her because there are evil people who are after the very volumes that she's been entrusted with their safety. and she travels across country to get to the Diamond Dance Club, where she will be safe and protected herself. My editor remarked to me one time that I made awareness of some of society's utmost or uppermost concerns. This was something I'd done without my own awareness. In my writing, I have covered child abuse, women's strength, dog fighting, serial killing, all circled around ghosts, conjurers, hoodoo, spells, antiques, and some very special animals. Dare you join in? Adieu.